Welcome back to 27 Fox Place. I have a few small organizing projects to do today, and one of the things that I've been wanting to do is to move all of the Wi-Fi equipment out of the bedroom and into a more central location in the house, and I thought this cabinet in the hallway would be the perfect place. And we've been storing candles in this cabinet, but there is plenty of space to store both. The only problem was we didn't have a connection in the hallway, so we ran the wires through the house a few months ago, but that's as far as we got, and now we've finally scheduled someone to come out and make the connection. But before they could come in and do their job, I needed to empty the cabinet so there would be room for the equipment. And once I had everything cleared out of the way, I drilled a hole in the cabinet for the wires, and then we let the technician make all the connections and make sure everything was working properly. And now all I need to do is organize the cabinet so that everything fits on the top shelf, and that way I'll have room to put the candles back on the lower shelf. And the first thing I needed to do was mount the power strip to the back of the cabinet so that I could free up some space on the shelf, and I didn't want to put more holes in the cabinet, so I just used hook and loop tape to secure the power strip, but we can still remove it if we need to. And the second thing I needed to do was push all the extra wire outside the cabinet. The wires won't be visible on the outside of the cabinet, and it will make it easier to manage if there's fewer wires to get tangled up. And once I had everything out of the way, I had plenty of room for the rest of the equipment, and the more space between the equipment, the less signal interference there is, or at least that's what the technician told me. So I want to spread everything out and tie up the extra cord, and then I need to leave enough slack in the wires so that we can move things in and out to access them. And now that the inside is done, I just have a few wires to tie up behind the cabinet, and no one's going to see behind the cabinet, but I want to keep the cords from getting tangled together, and I also want to keep them off the floor so that they can't be seen underneath the cabinet. And before I move the cabinet back in place, I need to vacuum all the little bits that fell behind the cabinet when I drilled the hole for the cords. And we still have a phone in the house because the cell reception at this location isn't strong enough to be completely reliable. So there are times when I need to use the house phone, but I'm so happy to finally get the phone out of the bedroom. I'm not sure if the candles will stay in this cabinet, but I'm going to put them back in here for now. And I think it makes sense to have the candles here because if there's no power, there's no internet. And if the power goes out, we'll definitely need the candles. The shelf was a little overcrowded and I spent a few minutes trying to find the best way to arrange everything. And when I was finally satisfied with the arrangement, I remembered that I had 2 empty drawers. So I was able to free up a little space inside the cabinet by moving the lighters to one of the drawers. And we ended up with way too many lighters because I couldn't find or remember where I put them. So we ended up buying more lighters than we needed. Now that I've added the phone to the top of this cabinet, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to style it, so I'm just going to leave it like this for now, but I'll have to do some shopping around the house and see if I can come up with something that's a little bit better. I needed to vacuum the hallway and the bedroom to make sure there wasn't any sawdust or little bits of wire left behind, and I love freshly vacuumed carpets, so anytime I have the vacuum in my hand, I end up vacuuming the entire house.
I'm waiting at the doorstep, I'm finally home. I've been gone for too long. Standing here a while just to take it all in. Radio's playing our song. And then you stood there smiling at me as so many times before. I'll never wanna be away, leave you again. You are all I want and more. It is true. If only I could do one thing, I'll be with you. It is true.
house wasn't too bad today, but I still managed to fill up the collection tank, so before I put the vacuum away, I'll empty the tank and put it back on the charger so that it's ready to use the next time I need it. The laundry was the only thing I didn't get done before the technician arrived this morning, and I still have a few more organizing projects to do, but first I have laundry that needs to go in the dryer and a set of sheets to fold.
I know that you are having a hard time right now. That everything seems to crumble around you.
Whenever I fold fitted sheets, I start by folding the long side of the sheet in half so that the short sides come together, and then I line up the corners and tuck one corner into the other.
Put your trust into us and we will help you through, 'cause we only want what's best for you. I know that you are having trouble believing right now.
And I do the same thing for both corners, and then I lay the sheet flat and straighten out the fabric as much as possible, letting the material fall naturally.
I know that you feel all alone in this world, but you have to put your trust into us.
And once the sheet lies flat, I can fold the top part down in line with the corners to create a straight edge, and then I can fold the bottom up to meet the top, and then fold it in half one more time. And for the top sheet, I fold it in half, bringing the short sides together, and then I'll fold it in half again so that all four corners come together. And then I'll fold the sheet in half again, but this time I'll bring the long sides together, and then I'll fold it in half one more time. Then I'll bring the fitted sheet back and line it up with the top sheet, and the two sheets should be about the same size now, and I'll do the same thing with the pillowcases, folding them in half long ways first so that they're about the same width as the sheets, and then I'll fold them in half two more times. You could fold the sheets separately, but I like to fold them together and form a packet, and I start at the bottom, making a fold slightly smaller than the pillowcase, and then I'll fold my way up to the top and wrap the pillowcase inside the last fold.
'Cause we only want what's best for you.
I just have a few more things that I need to put away in the laundry room, and we probably have more Ziploc bags that we can use in a year, but it's cheaper to buy them in bulk, and because it's something that we don't need to get to all that often, I can keep them on the top shelf.
They were in high school when they met, and things got kinda awkward.
When I first organized this cabinet, I thought I would use the things in the middle shelf more often than the top, but as it turns out, I don't reach for them as often as I thought, so I need to swap up the two shelves, and luckily I don't have to adjust the shelves, so I just need to rearrange a few things.
Ooh. And one day she said, write me a love song, 'cause I know you'll make it beautiful. And maybe I'll call you my sweetheart.
I keep all of the laundry supplies inside this cabinet, and I use bleach more for cleaning than I do laundry, but I still keep bleach in this cabinet because I still think of it as a laundry product.
He looked at her and then he smiled, picked up a pen and paper, and started writing.
I've had the iron and the steamer as long as I can remember, and I keep them together in one basket, and then I keep all of the other ironing supplies and lint rollers in the other basket. And I like the look of the baskets, but they keep things organized and easy to access. And it's easy to get in and out of the cabinet, so instead of things getting lost in the back of the shelf, I can easily pull out the whole basket to find what I need.
Then he said, I wrote you a love song, and I tried to make it beautiful. It's a song about your sweet.
Organizing for me is always a bit of trial and error, and I never know if something's going to work out until I put it into practice, and sometimes I have to start all over from scratch, and other times I just need to make a few tweaks here and there, and there's not a big difference in the cabinet today, but hopefully it will function a little bit better. One of the biggest obstacles to maintaining organization are the constant additions that we bring into the house, and to combat the problem, I try to declutter and organize when I introduce something new. It isn't always easy, and it doesn't always get done right away. I've had these new glass containers for a few weeks now, trying to decide if I needed to keep any of the older containers, and I finally decided to pull them out, all except for a few of the smaller ones, and I'll keep them in quarantine for a little while until I'm sure the new system is working out.
Nobody can get in their way or steal the show. They're in love now, and I wanted you to know.
I'm not sure if I'm going to keep these organizers in the cabinet, but I'll keep them here until I find a better use for them. But before I put them back in the cabinet, I'll clean them up with a damp microfiber cloth. I still have more organizing to do in the laundry room, but it's going to take more time than I have today, so the last thing on my list is getting the laundry folded and put away. I try to take the dogs to the park in the mornings, and the weather has been unseasonably cold for November, and it's been in the 40s and 50s when we leave the house, so I've had to wear shoes and socks, which means more socks to fold, and I noticed one of the socks was missing, and sometimes a sock doesn't make it into the wash when I sort out the laundry, and I don't find it until I wash another load, but it turned up while I was folding the rest of the socks today. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video and that it gives you a little motivation to start that organizing project you've been putting off. And of course, remember to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications before you go. And thank you so much for spending your time with me today, and I hope to see you next time.